Hey beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. If you can see by the title, I know you're probably thinking, what the, like, how can that be true? Like, what's going on? Is this title clickbait? Is it real? I'm here to tell you that it is real. I moved from the UK and I became homeless, and God blessed me with a 2-bedroom apartment without a job. Like, a 2-bedroom apartment without a job. Like, I was homeless. Like, it's insane. So let's get into the story really quickly. First of all, I want to say that I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm thankful that you're here, and I pray that what I'm going to speak about today touches your soul and leaves an imprint in your heart to know that whatever you're going through, that it's possible. And I also want you to know that God is so real, and that you should count on him, and you should put all your worries and all your troubles on him. He's listening to every word that you say from your mouth to God. It goes directly. And I'm so honored and thankful to be here today and to be here before you speaking about this. I have been wanting to make this video for so long now. You will not believe it, but the devil is a damn lie. The devil's a liar. Like, even my nail broke. Like, I'm here today, and I'm happy to be here today because I want to share the story with you. Backstory, guys, because a backstory is necessary to give you all the, to just paint the picture for you. Get a drink, get some water, get a cocktail, get whatever you need to get. Make yourself comfortable because it's going to be a long one. I haven't written any notes down because I just want to go off the dome. I've asked the Holy Spirit to speak through me, and God to just give me the power, the strength, the energy, and the words to use, and the wisdom to be able to tell this story in the right way. So let me just give you a brief story, a brief background about how we got here. So I moved from the UK recently, and I moved because I was just tired. I was over the UK, and I can get into that in another video, but essentially I was over the UK and I was going through it with my family. I had enough, and I was just like, God, I want to leave this place. Like, I want to just leave. I am tired of this environment. I'm tired of feeling stuck. I'm tired of feeling like I'm going nowhere, and I felt that way for a long time. So it wasn't a good time for me. It's a really bad time for me. So I ended up moving. Luckily, I found a job. I applied for one job and I got that job. I'm so grateful that I got that job, and I ended up moving. Fast forward, I found my flat, the flat that I lived in when I first moved here. Let's call that flat Loewe. So I moved into Loewe. I don't know why I'm choosing Loewe out of all things. I moved into Loewe, and Loewe was beautiful. She was this like studio, like modern, nice double bed, beautiful balcony, beautiful views, dishwasher. Like, if you come from an African household, having a dishwasher and being able to use it is something that we are not familiar with, at least in my household. Like, we have a dishwasher, but we wash our things. So just having that for myself, I was living the life. Like, I was so grateful. Had my own little kitchen, my own little bathroom. Like, everything was so beautiful, and everything was also fully furnished. So I just literally had to bring myself. So I loved Loewe, and I lived in Loewe for about a year. Now, my contract was basically like a second-hand contract. So if you don't know, I moved to Sweden, and in Sweden, the way that you get housing is quite different to the way that you get it in the UK. There's first-hand contracts, and then there's second-hand contracts. So the first-hand contracts, you have to be in the queue for years, you have to be in the system, you have to register, you have to have a lot of requirements, and these houses tend to be a lot cheaper, whereas the second-hand housing, you can get them quite easily, but they're more expensive. But that was the only option available for me because I'm coming into a new country, obviously I was born here. If you didn't know that, now you know. You can get into that another time as well. I got a second-hand contract. It was supposed to be a whole year, but you had an option where you could renew your contract. So I was living my best life in Loewe, like living my best life, you know, inviting some few people over like that I knew from when I was young, inviting cousins round, having like just enjoying my space and being finally free from living at home. Like, the independence that you feel when you're at home is insane. Like, I feel like everyone needs to experience that. If you've never experienced living on your own outside of your family home, I do encourage you to try it at least for a few months. Obviously, if it's in your budget, if it's in your means, please don't do it if you can't. But anyway, I was living my life in Loewe. A whole year was approaching since I had moved in, and I was just delaying like finding another flat because I wasn't used to the system. I was delaying it, and I was like, oh, you know what, they'll give me, they'll renew me with no doubt. Like, they'll renew my contract, like it's fine. Around this time, I'm enjoying my life in Loewe. I'm working, like I'm exploring this new city. I'm just living my best independent life. Time was ticking, it was getting closer to my lease ending. Now, around the time that when my lease was ending, I actually like left my job because mentally I just couldn't handle it. I was going through so much. I left my job with the intention to come back. This is where I messed up, but God still had my back though. So around this time, the renewal time is coming in. I'm not working because I left my job with the intention to come back. I decided not to come back because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pursue this social media life. Like, you know what? People quit their job all the time and then they make it, they become a content creator, they become successful, they become financially free. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it. So I'm not coming back to work. Work where? I was stupid. Looking back, I was very stupid. I didn't have any plans. I had nothing. I was just going off of vibes and that was it. And to be fair, big risks do equal big outcomes, usually, but not all the time. So please learn from me that it's not always that it's gonna work. And anyway, so obviously I've decided not to go back to work now. Time is ticking. My lease is about to end. I remember emailing the agent for Loewe and I was like, hey, I would like to renew. And he was like, oh, yeah, you can't renew because we've already put in that we're gonna have a new couple moving in. I was living by myself, by the way, but they were having a couple coming in, I think from India. I can't remember exactly, from India. And they were like, well, you need to leave in the next 2 days. And this was February 2022. They were like, you need to leave, you need to get out of here, you need to leave, pack your bags, your lease is up, we can't renew your contract, we can't do anything. Now I'm sitting there, I'm in a foreign country, my family are in the UK, I'm here by myself. Where am I going to stay? Where am I going? It's already really difficult to get housing in Sweden. Like, where am I going? And I remember I was panicking, and I'll maybe put some clips in this video of like me packing and vlogs when I moved in. And I'm also vlogging now that I'm packing up to go, which is so sad. I was hoping to be able to stay here for an additional 1 month because I wasn't able to find a place to stay, but unfortunately they can't extend my contract because I requested it late. Yeah, I'm packing up all my bags. But I know that God's got me and I'm gonna be in a better position. It's just really sad right now because I genuinely love this place. I'm watching Lydia. I genuinely love this place. But I know God's got me. I trust God and I trust that he's already written the path for me, and the path looks a lot better than this place right here. Yeah, this is me emotional in. I just wanted to make this for myself, really, just so I can look back and see how far I've come. All good things must come to an end, right? No, they don't. It's just on pause right now. Got my dad's note, keep on walking. He used to always say that. So yeah, I guess we gotta keep on walking. And being worried and also praying to God. And like, I remember I journaled. Let me just get the story straight. I remember being in my flat, packing all my things and thinking that it was gonna go quickly, but it didn't go quickly. Packing all my things, having like gospel music on, praying to God and like, just trying not to worry, because that was my biggest thing. I was worried. I didn't know where I was gonna stay. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know anything. I had no clue. I had no clue at all. And I was like, you know what, like, I didn't know where to go. Anyway, I was able to borrow money from a friend. I packed up all my flat. I packed up. It took almost a whole day. And I remember journaling. I journaled for ages. I was just like, God, please, this is in your hands. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how I'm going to afford it. I have no job. Now I have no house. Like, where am I going? Like, I'm practically going to be homeless. Like, I have nowhere to go. And mind you, I didn't tell anybody what I was going through. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell my friends. I told nobody. This was between me and God. There was a part in me that kind of wanted it to be that way. The day to move out has arrived, and I have no plan. I don't know where I'm staying. Like I said, I was able to borrow money from my friends, so I remember booking myself a Airbnb for about 4 days. Yeah, it was exactly 4 days. I booked my Airbnb, I transported all my things, and that was also very hectic because the taxi driver, his cab was too small, so I couldn't move my things in one go. I had to go back and forth, and where I was staying at lovelies and where I was going, it wasn't close, so it was annoying. I had to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, so I'm coming to you guys on a sad note because today is my last day at this flat, and this flat has been so good to me. Like, God has been so good to me in this flat. Like, so many things have come out of this flat, so many things have happened here. I feel like I've grown as a woman. I feel like I've stepped into becoming the woman that I'm supposed to be in this flat. I feel like I've took so many risks. I've been sad, I've been happy, I've been joyful, I've been peaceful, I've been upset. I've experienced so many emotions in this flat, and I'm super thankful to God that I was able to stay here for a year. And I was able to just enjoy my view, enjoy living on my own and experiencing that outside of uni. Of course, I hope to be able to find a flat that's nicer than this, but at the moment I'm still looking. So I'm just going to be staying at some Airbnbs here and there until I find like proper accommodation, because it's quite hard in Sweden finding accommodation, which is really tough. But yeah, like I just want to give you guys a little tour of how things are looking right now. So this is the empty space, guys. I really have enjoyed my time here. I've got my last few bits there. So I've taken majority of my stuff. Like, guys, I had so much stuff, like it was crowded all over here. So it's all gone now. Yeah, I just thought I'd show you guys the end of this chapter. But I'm really gonna miss this view. Like, oh, I love you, view. I pray that I get an even better view. In the name of God, amen. Deuces. Back and forth, but thankfully I was able to find somewhere to stay for 4 nights. I was happy. Obviously during this time I'm looking for like a spare room in someone's house, like somewhere to stay, because I was like, I can't be on the streets, Jesus. I cannot be on the streets, like please, I could not be there. Like, it's not my calling to be homeless. So I moved into this like Airbnb for 4 nights, and I'm there. I'm still trying to keep positive. I remember like making TikToks and stuff like that, going out to buy a few things like food bits, like with what I could afford and what money I have. And still I'm like journaling, I'm praying, I'm looking for houses, I'm looking for flats, I'm looking for house shares, I'm looking for it all. Like, I'm just looking for it all, because excuse me, after the 4 days, where am I going? Where am I actually going? Like, I genuinely did not know where I was going. I'm praying hard, listening to sermons and like all of it, and I was still worried, of course, but I was just like, there has to, like, God is not gonna leave me here. Like, you're not gonna leave me in this situation. So obviously I'm at this Airbnb. The 4 days run out now. I remember the 4th day so well, because I remember waking up that morning and just praying that the cleaners don't come in so I could like stay there extra. I don't know why I was thinking that. I was just praying like, oh, I hope the cleaner has forgotten to come to this room, and that, you know, maybe I'll be able to stay here, and all these kind of crazy thoughts. I was crazy. It's like I was desperate. I didn't know where I was gonna go. I had nowhere to stay. So I was like, oh, I hope she doesn't come in, doesn't clean, doesn't notice. Or, you know, I just didn't know where I was going. Anyway, cleaner came in. She came in later on. She was like, oh, I'm giving you till 1 p.m. to get out. My checkout was at 11. She was like, I'm giving you till 1 p.m. So whilst I'm fumbling and trying to organize myself, so then I had to pack all of my like skincare bits that I'd unpacked, because obviously the things that I packed from Nueve, I wasn't touching that unless I was going to use it, like my skincare, my nightgown, and a few bits and bobs. So she gives me till 1 p.m. and I remember going on booking.com and I found this hostel. Now this hostel, it was like for what was it? Yeah, so I booked it for 10 nights, and it was around the amount that I had left from the money that I borrowed from my friend. So I booked that hostel for 10 days. 10 days specifically. Now you're probably thinking, you have all these things, how are you going to get them into a hostel? That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I've got all these things, how am I going to get them into a hostel? I booked a room where I was sharing with 6 other people, and when I was thinking about the logistics, I was like, how am I going to do this? But luckily I had a friend who basically works with children, and they have like this big room full of like children's stuff and toys to play with at lunchtime and break time. And in that room there was space for me to put some of my things. So I called her up. I was like, sis, I need somewhere to put my things. I didn't go into detail about everything. I said, I said, sis, I need somewhere to put my things, girl. Like, can you help me out? Because I don't know what I was gonna do. I had first thought that I could book like a little like room, like a storage room, and like keep my things there and pay. Obviously, with what money? Like literally with what money? So my friend offered to let me use that place at her job. So I remember packing up all my things, and it was even so bad. I remember this vividly, like leaving my Airbnb and trying to go to the lift with all my things. I had so many things. Obviously I have so many more things now, but I just remember like dragging each thing from my bedroom door at the Airbnb to the lift, and it was like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I'm putting those things that are by the lift into the lift, going downstairs, and from the lift to the main entrance where the cab was supposed to be to take me to my friend's workplace. It was all a mess. Even then, the taxi was moving mad. I'd ordered a large taxi this time because I'd learnt my lesson from the first time not to book like a normal cab. So I booked an extra large cab, and they kept cancelling on me, cancelling on me, cancelling on me. Like, it was so frustrating. One of them even arrived and he looked at my things. He was like, no, I can't take you, even though there was room for it. So thankfully, the friend that I called had another friend who she worked with who was able to come and pick me up. And she had a normal car, like a normal standard average sized car. And she was able to put all my things in there and myself in one go. Like, God was just great. So we got all my things to my friend's workplace in that little storage place, put all my things there, made our way there. And whilst we're there, I'm unpacking and loading everything to the storage place. And obviously I keep a few things for myself that I'm gonna need, like clothing, skincare, shower bits, and some food bits here and there. And mind you, I had no clue like what this place looked like. I have never stayed in a hostel. Like, I had no idea. Like, I was just literally, I was just going off of vibes. Like, I was just being led. Obviously it was God leading me, I know that now, but I was just being led to do these things. So I leave the storage place, I leave my friend, I get into a cab, and I'm now going to the hostel. And I remember it was raining. It's so dramatic. It was raining, it was dark, it was during the winter months in Sweden. And if you live in Sweden, or if you live in Northern Europe, when it gets dark during winter, it's dark at like 2-3 p.m. Like, and I think it was around that time. It was actually, no, it was late in the evening, but when it gets dark, it's really dark. So it was really dark, it was raining, it was so dramatic. I'm in this cabs picked me up, and I'm just thinking like, God, what's going on with my life? Like, when I was in that taxi, it had been 1 year since I had moved to Sweden. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So I'm like talking to God, I'm like, God, like, it's been 1 year since I left the UK. I'm going to live in a hostel. All my things are in storage. I have nowhere to stay. I have no job because I've left my job like a dickhead. Like, what am I doing with my life? You know, and I'm getting upset. I'm in the back of the cab. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? Anyway, we pull up at the hostel, and it's in some weird area, and you have to put in this code. I got the code from booking.com. Put in the code now, and I'm like invited, and I'm greeted by I think the owner or the guy who runs the hostel, and he was really friendly, to be fair. He was really friendly and helpful. So I get in there, I'm like carrying my little suitcase, and I get there and I'm like, okay. And then he's showing me my room, and he opens the room, and immediately I look in the room. I was like, wow, what have I done? Like, you know, when you look at your life and you're like, what have I done? How did we get here? Why am I here? What have I done? You know, I was feeling so regretful for all the decisions that I had made beforehand, before this point now. So I was really disappointed. And I remember walking in, and there was this white guy. I have to be detailed. There was this white guy who had his feet out, and like his feet stunk, and it was filled with fungi, and the room was disgusting. I'm not gonna lie to you, the room was filthy. It smelled filthy. So thankfully he was the only one in the room. Like I said before, I'd booked a room for 6 people. So there was 3 bunk beds, 6 people could fit in that room, but luckily he was the only one there at the time. So I remember getting there, put my bags down, and I'm looking around, and I have a video. I have a video which I'm gonna insert in this video, and I can only laugh now, but I was so upset. I was so upset. I was like, wow, contemplating my life, like what the fuck have I done? Obviously I've booked this place for 10 days, so I know I'm going to be here for 10 days, but I told God, I said, God, you better find me something in 10 days. I'm not staying here for another however many days. Number one, I don't have the money for it, and number two, I just don't want to. The place is filthy. So I did my little tour. The guy showed me the kitchen, he showed me the bathroom, and fair enough, things were okay for a hostel, but it's just not for me, and I've never experienced it. So for me it was very new and it's very unfamiliar, and I didn't enjoy my experience there. But I told God, I said, God, I'm giving you 10 days. After 10 days you have to get me out of here. You have to find me somewhere to stay. Like, you have to find me somewhere to stay. And of course I'm still journaling, I'm still praying, I'm still looking for flats. Like, days are going by, and I'm still looking. So I'm still doing everything that I need to be doing in the physical world, whilst God is doing what he needs to be doing in the spiritual world. Because boy, I was not gonna stay there another day at all. And of course I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm homeless now, I'm gonna need money for the future. Like, how am I gonna get a job? 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 I was thinking, you know what, let's start where we're familiar. So I started with calling my manager. So I called I text my manager. I was like, hey, how you doing? I was like, hey, I'm just checking to see if my role is still available. Like, do you need people? Blah, blah, blah. And he didn't reply for a while. So I thought, oh, fuck it. Like, ugh, I'm sure he's just never gonna hire me again. And he was the manager that had hired me in the beginning. And he knows why I left and had a break and all that kind of stuff. He knows what I was going through. I messaged him. Thankfully, he replied the next day. And he was like, hey, Linda, like, good to hear from you. Like, how are you? I'm going to speak to the managers and see what's going on with the role. Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, he said that he was going to organize a meeting with the new operations manager, who was actually my colleague that I'd worked with before. Lit, like, duh, lit. We love to hear it. So that was booked for, I can't remember the date specifically, but that was booked for about a week later. Lit. I love that. So I had that to look forward to, and in my heart I felt like, oh, I'm gonna get the job back, man. Like, the job is mine. So it's approaching the end of my stay at this hostel, and I'm meeting people there, and people were quite friendly. They were like, you know, travelers, people coming in and out. After contacting my manager, we booked in a meeting for about a week and a half later, and I'm still, like I said, I'm still journaling, I'm still praying, I'm still in the word, I'm still editing my YouTube videos, because there was a YouTube video that I was trying to be consistent with YouTube at the time as well, which I'm still struggling with today. Help me, Jesus. So I was still praying, I was still in my word, and I was still posting TikToks. Like, I had my singing TikTok at the time, and I remember I was singing this Adele song, can't remember what song it was, and then the guy knocked on my door and he was like, oh, was that you singing? I was like, yeah. Guys, forgive me if I am all over the place. So remember when I said that I came to the hostel and there was one guy, the white guy with his feet out, he ended up leaving the next day. And then another guy came in and he ended up leaving the day after. So I had 8 days to myself in that hostel without anybody disturbing my peace. I could do my YouTube videos, I could do my voiceovers, because I was doing voiceover at the time. I'm still doing it. Check out the link below if you need a voiceover agent or anything voiceover related. Check out the link below. I've got my Fiverr account there. So I was able to record my voiceovers, I was able to edit my YouTube videos, I was able to speak and have conversations with people. Like, not that I was telling the whole world, it was only, actually I didn't tell anyone, I was just speaking to people, like, on the phone, pretending like everything was fine. So God made sure that I was alone in that space and comfortable as possible, because literally it was a room for 6 people and I was in there for 8 days on my own. Like, deep it, that's only God. And then, okay, fast forward now. So I'm singing, the guy comes in, he asks me if it's me singing. He comes in, he talks about himself, asks about me, what do I do, blah, 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 how am I here? And I tell him a bit about my story. And he tells me that he's like an evangelist and he goes around speaking to people about God. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, that's amazing. And then we start connecting. He asked for my number, I gave him my number, and he was like, oh, we should just chat anytime we're going through something, like, just give me a call. Really sweet guy. Left it as that. Fast forward now, I'm still applying, and back in March the year before, one of my friends from my childhood had actually told me to sign up to these virtual queues to get the first-hand contracts in Sweden. So I had signed up the following year. So I signed up the following year, and I'm using that same website to apply for housing now. So I'm on this website whilst I'm in this hostel. I'm on this website applying for housing, applying for housing, applying for housing, applying for housing. Now, there was one that was looking promising. I didn't end up getting that, but I was just applying. There was also this website where you could go on, which was like a lottery website. So you go there at 11:30 and you line up again in a virtual queue, and then they do a lottery, and whoever's name gets picked out of this lottery gets to pick a house, whatever. I did all that. So it's becoming closer to the end of my tether. I still haven't found anything, you know. I'm on Facebook Marketplace, I'm on all these other platforms to find housing. Luckily, God bless me, I was able to find this woman who lived in an apartment with her dog. She was this older lady, Cuban. Was she Cuban? I think she was Cuban. So luckily I found this lady on Facebook Marketplace. She was living with her dog. I was speaking to her daughter, and me and her were like going through the rent, how much it's gonna be, all that kind of stuff. And mind you, I was still getting some money from like the state, the government, like, but it wasn't a lot at all. It was just helpful for like small food bits. It wasn't enough to pay rent. Like, it was not enough to pay rent. So anyway, I'm speaking to her daughter about the logistics, like when do I want to move in, how much am I willing to pay, blah blah blah. Now mind you, there was no contract, which obviously praise God, because had there been a contract I would have to show, like, you know, my earnings. I didn't have a job at the time. I didn't have a job. Anyway, we agree to the amount that I'm going to pay for rent. So I obviously give an offer, they agree on the offer. Before you know it, I'm moving in, and I was like, God, you're so great. I think we agreed on me moving in on the 14th, and crazy because the 14th of February, obviously it's Lover's Day, but the 14th of February would have been my 10th day. As in, like, the 10 days that I gave God, yeah, he listened to me, because I came in on the 4th of Feb, I left on the 14th. I said to God, I'm not staying an extra day. I'm not doing it. I'm not And he made that happen, and I was so excited, so happy, so grateful. Like, that hostel life, like, when I look back, it was only because of God. Like, how are you supposed to be hopeful in that situation? How? It's only because of God. It's his strength. It's him watching over me and still giving me like peace and joy during those times, because I was still okay. Like, my mood wasn't that low, like I wasn't depressed, but there was moments where it was like waves. Like, one moment I was sad, one moment I was happy, one moment I was like worried, and you just know, like, you know how it goes when you're going through something. I ended up moving out. I said bye to the people that I had met. Mind you, I met some like really cool people. I ended up leaving and moving into this flat, and this flat was quite far out in like the hood area. It wasn't quite central like Loewe. Like, Loewe was quite central, and I was used to Loewe. So I moved into, let's call this other flat Reese. I moved into Reese from the hostel. I moved into Reese, and Reese was a decent household. When I moved in, my moving day was on the 14th, like I said. I moved in. Did I move in on my own or with help? No, I moved in on my own. I had like a few bits to bring with me, which I was able to put in the cab, because obviously, remember, I still had all of my things in my friend's work's storage place, but what I had with me was able to go from A to B. So I took my things with me. I left the hostel, got to Reese, and Reese had a dog. The dog was cute, whatever, not well trained, but we'll get into that. The lady that I was staying with was really sweet in the beginning, just chill woman, you know, minds her business, goes out, goes for a walk, comes in, doesn't work, does her own thing. So I'm staying there, I'm enjoying my stay. I'm noticing a few things about her characteristic, about this old woman. Like, she has this dog that is untrained and that shits in the house. I didn't really like, so that was freaking annoying. You know, she had her little rules, and that's fine. I was able to follow them. Anyway, let's get to the juicy part. So now it's coming closer to the time that I'm having my interview with my old manager, my colleague. So obviously I'm excited. We have the meeting goes well, I get the job, I'm excited. My start date was, I believe, when was my start date? My start date was I think the beginning of March. Yeah, my start date was the beginning of March. So I'm excited. I've got a job, I got a job, I got a job, I got a job, I got a job. I'm so excited. So at least I'm not gonna be broke no more. And now I've got housing, so I'm not homeless no more. So, like I said, things are going okay with this lady that I'm living with. I'm just noticing a few things about her behavior, her dog, but I'm minding my business, you know. I'm living in a little room. You know, Reese is okay, Reese is cute. The flat is cute, it's okay, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Still filming my TikToks, trying to film YouTube, didn't work. Anyway, I remember one day I'm going through my emails and I'm seeing an email from one of the houses that I applied for at the hostel, the first-hand contract houses. I'm seeing an email about that and they're like, oh, you've made it to the next step of the process. You are currently number 11 out of 10. So how this queue system works, just to explain it in the most simplest terms, you line up virtually in a queue, you bid for a house. There are people that are before you, there are people that are after you, but I was actually the last person in this queue for this specific house. The email was basically saying, please approve if you want to move on to the next stage. What's going to happen next is that the people ahead of you, so the 10 people ahead of you, have to say no for you to get this flat. I just said yeah, like, okay, that's fine. Like, I didn't have any, like, I didn't expect anything. I wasn't thinking that, oh yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm like 10 people ahead of me. Of course one of them was gonna say yeah. I didn't think anything of it, I left it, cool. A few weeks go by, like maybe like a week, 2 weeks go by. Mind you, let me just paint a picture for you guys about this situation. Now, when I bid for this flat, I didn't see it. There were no pictures of it. There was nothing. There was absolutely nothing apart from a floor plan. And I've been bidding for so many houses that I didn't even know which house it was. When it came to saying yes, I didn't know which house it was. I knew which area it was because the houses that I was bidding for was kind of in the same area. Because there's this specific area that I really love and my mum always went on about it. So I was like, yeah, let me live there. So it was a specific area and I knew, you know, kind of what I was applying for, but not really. So when I was applying for these flats, I was just applying for applying's sake, not thinking anything of it. And then obviously when I made it so far in the process, I was like, how are 10 people gonna say no? Like, someone will surely take it, you know? So anyway, a week and a half goes by, I get another email and they're like, you've made it to number 1. Like, do you want this flat, yes or no? And they were like, you have to reply, like, I think they gave me a day or so to respond back saying whether I approve or not. And I was, in my head, I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I remember there was a guy I was talking to at the time. I was like, oh, should I do it? Should I take it? I don't know how it looks like. Should I take it? I call my mom. Should I take it? I have no clue how it looks like. Should I take it? Should I take it? I was confused because I've never done this before. Like, all of this is new to me. All of it is new to me. I have no clue how to do, like, I have no clue how the system works. I'm so new to it. So I was calling for some advice. My mom said, just take it. What's the worst that can happen? If it looks ugly, like, it's fine. At least you've got your own place. Now, she already knew about the small tension that was going on between me and this lady. So I accept, and before you know it, things start happening so quickly, like so quickly, like so quickly. Things start happening for me. Before you know it, they had processed my application. I had to fill in all this information, send them information about myself, my ID, my job that I now had. But guess what they asked for as well? They asked for me to provide 3 months worth of bank statements. And if you've been listening well, and these ears have been open, you know that there was none. I didn't have any because I hadn't worked. Remember? I hadn't worked, so I didn't have these bank statements. I had them for other months, but not for the 3 months before. You know, I didn't have them for 3 months before when they sent this email. So I did something that I don't advise anyone to do. I used these other bank statements and I just changed the date. Yes, I did that. I changed the date. I did that. I changed the date to fit the 3 months that they were asking bank statements for, because I was desperate and I was not gonna let this house go. You know, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. Now, I'm hoping that the housing agency is not listening to me. I don't think they'll know who I am, but I pray to God they don't know who I am, because either way, what y'all gonna do? I've been paying my rent ever since. So anyway, they asked for 3 months worth of bank statements. I do what I have to do. I send that in. Before you know it, I get an email saying, okay, well, your keys are ready to move out. I said, huh? I have to like just, what? What? I've got my own flat. Mind you, I didn't have a job. I hadn't started my job. When I got approved, I hadn't started my job. I didn't have any bank statements to show for the last 3 months. And the flat that I bid for is a flat that I bid for whilst I was in the hostel. I'm getting chills right now because it's just so unreal and I don't want to get emotional. And I was so grateful. I was like, wow, like, that's insane. So obviously I'm excited, I'm moving it out. Now I had got my deposit from lovelies, so I was able to like pay my rent for the month, thankfully. Because I'm sure you guys are probably thinking, oh, how are you able to pay your rent? I had gotten paid my deposit back from lovelies, which was more than enough. So I was able to pay my deposit for Reese, I was able to pay my first month's rent for Reese. But then now I've got this other flat and I want my deposit back because the daughter of this lady that I was staying with has said that, yeah, you'll get your deposit back when you move out. They were not trying to give my deposit back. So there's a bit of drama throughout, like between us, blah, 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 all of this stuff. Long story short, they ended up giving my deposit back because I threatened them that I would report them to the landlord's thing, like this network for, you know, tenants being mistreated and stuff like that. Because I'm not gonna, like, give me my money, like, don't play with me, give me my money. I understand they were frustrated because obviously, like, I told them that I'd be staying there for at least 6 months. That's what I thought. I wasn't expecting to get housing just like that. I didn't expect God to work his miracle like that. Obviously I had faith that he would give me somewhere to stay, which he did. So I didn't expect what was happening next. I didn't expect me to be there for literally over a month, a little over a month. And that's nothing. So I understand the frustration in terms of thinking that, oh yeah, you know, this tenant has come in, she'll be living here for at least 6 months. That's guaranteed X amount of money from her, you know. So there was a bit of tension between us about that situation. Old news. I get my deposit back. It's time to move out. Mind you, at this point, when it's time to move out, I've now started working. Obviously I haven't got my first paycheck yet, but I've started working. So I'm going to work, which is in central of Stockholm, and going home like a little bit outside to Reese. It's quite a distance. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. When I'm going to pick up my keys, there's a flat that I had bid for in a similar area, and that flat had pictures on it. They were not that great. They were not that great, let's be honest. They were not that great. Like, they were awful in my opinion. So I'd seen that other flat and I was thinking, God, if that flat in this similar area looks like that, then what's my own flat gonna look like? You know, I was thinking, it probably is gonna be like the same. It might, you know, it might have the similar kind of aesthetics, blah, 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 blah. Like, look at me, a beggar being a chooser. Look at a beggar being a chooser. Like, God must have been looking at me like, what's wrong with you? Just take this blessing. So I did come to my senses eventually. So I came to pick up the keys. I'm praying to God. I'm like, God, please just make the house look better than what I expect in my mind. Just blow me away. Like, the expectations I have right now, they're quite low. Please manage my expectations, at least better than that. Went to pick up my keys. I got my keys now, and I had to go to their office and pick up the keys. I'll never forget this. I got my keys. I got three spare keys and one like main key. They gave me the address. They told me how to get there. I've never been here before, mind you. Like I said, I haven't seen the flat. I haven't seen it. There's no pictures, guys. There's no pictures. All there is a floor plan, and that's even crazy in itself. It's a floor plan. So I get the keys now, making my way here. I get confused a bit outside. I'm like, which is my flat? What's my flat? I make my way into the building, and I'm looking at the building. I'm like, oh, okay. I get the lift to the right floor. Put the key in the door now, and I'm praying, putting the key in the door. I'm like, God, please make sure that it looks good at least. You know what I like. I'm an aesthetic girl. I come in, I open the door, and my jaw dropped. Mind you, unfurnished. There was nothing in this flat. There was absolutely nothing in this flat. I come in, my jaw drops. I'm coming in, I look around, I go into every single room. I'm like, wow, God. And I had my Bible in my bag, of course. So I open my Bible and I'm praying and I'm giving thanks to God. I'm worshiping God. I'm like, you're amazing. Like, I am so grateful and thankful to God. Like, I was so happy. I was so happy. I was so thankful and blessed and grateful, and he just blew my expectations out of this world. Out of this world. I came in, obviously I'm praising God, I'm thanking him. I call my family. We had like a group WhatsApp video call. I'm showing everyone around and I'm just like, what? And mind you, I'm a single person. Like, I'm one person. So 2-bedroom flat, living room, balcony, a nice big kitchen and beautiful bath. What? All for me? Someone who moved in to lovelies and didn't even have a room. I lived in a studio. It was a beautiful studio, by the way, but I didn't have like an enclosed room. Now I have 2 bedrooms, a living room, a balcony, beautiful view, beautiful bathroom, nice flooring, a hallway, white walls. Like, are you kidding me? Like, guys, I was so thankful, and I'm still living here today. This is the flat. This is the flat that I'm talking about. This beautiful flat is the flat that I am talking about right now. The one that God blessed me with. The one that I applied for whilst in the hostel. The one that God gave me without having seen it. No pictures, no nothing but a floor plan. The one where God just said, yeah, this is for her. She deserves it. And it was modern. And then also what solidified that this was straight from God, because I already knew it was straight from God, but what just put the cherry on top of the cake was the fact that there's people that come into your house. Like, once you move in, you check that everything's okay. If things are missing, you let them know. There were a few things missing, like doors to bedrooms were missing, and some cupboard doors as well, and some other things with electrical work. So I remember the lady came into my flat and she was like, wow. She was like, you know, you have the best flat in this whole area. I was like, what? She was like, yeah, I go to people's houses. I go to people's flats all the time, and you by far have the best one. I was like, what? God will really bless you with the best of the best. Like, once you put your faith in him and you have like a stern conversation, I'm not saying be shouting at God, but like speak to him from your heart. Like, speak to God and be like, God, please, like, I trust you, I believe you, I want this thing. And even if it doesn't happen in the way that you want it, just still continue having faith, because he will pull through for you. Because when I said I wanted to move out by the 10th day, I would have loved it to be straight into this flat. I would have loved to skip that small process of me living with that woman, with her dog shitting shitting in house, and them trying to keep my rent away, and you know, all of that. I would have loved to just skip to the good part, but I had to go through that to build character, to experience living with other people, you know. And I'm just so grateful and so thankful that he blessed me, and all glory is to him. Like, this whole situation is just to glorify his name. Like, I have nothing to do with it, and it's not about me. Like, it's literally about uplifting his name and praying, hoping and praying that this story is imprinted in your heart, and that you, when you're going for anything, you remember that, oh, this is the girl that she gave God 10 days and look what he did. She didn't have a job and look what he did. She was homeless and look what he did. Like, if he can give a 2-bedroom flat to a homeless and a jobless person, why can't he rescue me? Why can't he bless me with a car? Why can't he bless me with a new job? Why can't he bless me with a relationship? Why can't he bless me with good health? Like, he can do it all. He can do it all. And still to this day, it's just still so surreal, the fact that I am living here. Like, I've had people come in, and every time anyone comes to my flat, they always compliment my flat immediately. Like, immediately. Just hearing me talk back and relive this story, just like, it's putting in a like I'm getting more spark to have more faith about other things in my life right now, because sometimes we can hold on to what God did in one season for us and forget what he can do in a new season. I feel like I've held on to how he came through for me in this situation, but I'm forgetting that he can do even more, you know? Like, God shows himself in many, 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 many ways, and he cares about the little things. Let me tell you that God cares about the little things. He really does. I pray that this story, like I said, left an imprint in your heart and your spirit, and that you will walk away feeling edified, hopeful, faithful, and believing that God is real. He don't play about his children, you know. God doesn't play about his children. He really doesn't. Also, I never told my family an inch of the story until I moved into this flat. I told my mom like a few months after. I was like, yeah, mom, by the way, you know, I was homeless. She was like, what? Because I knew if I told my mom, she would have told me to get the next flight back to the UK. She would have told me, get that ass back on that flight and come back here. You know, you've got a room here, blah, blah, blah. She would have told me. And I feel like that would have planted seeds of like distraction and giving up, even though it's a great alternative and I appreciate that. But I just knew that this one battle, it was between me and God. I couldn't, because I even have like cousins, family, friends, but I just knew that this one, I have to see it through with God. Like, if I had stayed with someone, if I had lived with my cousins or family friend or told my mom, I don't know if I'd be in this place right now, you know. So sometimes you just gotta go battle it out with God. Literally, like, speak to him, and like he will come through for you. Like, he will. His word says he will, and his word has never been wrong. You know, find yourself a community. If you're not a believer, if you don't believe in Christ, I urge you to find a church or go with someone. If you've got an invite to go to church, please go. Find a community of people that believe, and strengthen your faith if you need to, because yeah, life without Christ is empty. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you. I would absolutely love it if you could subscribe, like, and comment. Share your experience down below. Let me know how God has come through for you. I need this comment section to be filled with wisdom, with love, with testimonies, with just positive vibes. Let me know how God has come through for you in the comments down below. Make sure you like this video, share it with your family, with your friend, with your cousin, with your uncle, with your partner, with your besties, with your sister, with your aunt, whoever. Share it with whoever needs faith. Share it with whoever you love. Share it with whoever needs strength to get up and to believe again. I would really appreciate it, and I think they would too. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out my videos right here. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing, fantastic day. I love you. Mwah.